New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And now, here's Rick.
Hi there, everyone. Psychic Rick here, and I'm here with another podcast, and I have a special guest today. So, to start off with, if you want to ask me a question, and it can be anything because this is Ask Psychic Rick Anything, please put it in the chat box, the comment box, from where you're listening to and watching from, either Facebook or YouTube, and just put it in the comments and put a hashtag ask if you have a question. So then we will know, myself and the producers will know that that's a question you have that you'd like answered. And I'll answer it through my tarot readings, or you can maybe even ask me a question about my personal life. Anything goes here. And today we have a special guest. Everybody knows that animals are very important to me. I made my own animal totem deck, and I can communicate with animals psychically. So today I have a special guest, Nabb. She's a dog behavior specialist known as the Mutt Master. Her website is themuttmaster.com. Very excited to have her today. She teaches you how to communicate with your dog and speak their language. Deb has been working with dogs for over 30 years and has 9 rescue dogs of their own and is the host of 2 podcasts. Her podcasts are The Mutt Master Show and Life, Love, and Dogs, which she co-hosts with her husband, which we had on last month, Roger King. She's also an author, public speaker, and she helped me and my husband rescue our Cairn Terrier, Terry. So you've heard me talk about him before. Her website is themuttmaster.com, like I said, and follow her on Facebook at Dog Behavior Specialist Deb Nabb. And you can also find her on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at The Mutt Master. Here she is, Deb Nabb, The Mutt Master. Welcome, Deb. I'm having trouble hearing you. Hang on a second. Let's get this going.
Deb has her mic on mute.
How about now?
Now I can, yeah. That's a Mercury retrograde thing. Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is always messing with our communication. So Deb is now on and she's live.
Hi, everybody. Rick, thank you so much for having me on, and Happy New Year. It's been a long time.
Yes. Happy New Year. So let's get right into it. I want to know, and the viewers want to know, how do you do your work? Do you have to be in person? And what's the difference between a dog trainer and a dog behaviorist?
I love the question, and I will answer both. So let's start with, what's the difference between a dog behavior specialist and a trainer? So when I started my career 30 years ago, I was a dog trainer. That means I was able to teach dogs how to sit, how to lay down, how to walk politely on a leash. We're talking about basic obedience. And how I explain this is, one of my favorite things to say is dogs aren't sitting in the shelter because they didn't learn how to sit. dogs are sitting in shelters because of behavior issues that people can't get to the bottom of. And so as my career progressed, I decided to focus more on behavior issues that people really struggle with. And so when you're talking about hiring a specialist or a person to work with your dog, what is it that you're wanting to do? Do you want to teach your dog just basic obedience? Or are there severe behavior issues that you're having to deal with? And in that case, I would hire a behavior specialist. So that's the difference between the two. Your behavior specialists are going to have more experience. They're going to have more hands-on experience, and they're going to have more experience dealing with more severe problem behaviors. And then the other question is, how do I do what I do? So again, I love this question. So because I've been doing what I do for 30 years, I have an ability to, yes, come into your home and work with you and your dog one-on-one with whatever issues that you're having. But I also am able to work with you long distance. So I have clients all over the world. I help with through FaceTime, through phone consultations, through Zoom sessions. Sometimes, yes, it is helpful for me to be able to see something either that you're doing or that the dog is doing. But oftentimes it's really just a matter of asking the right questions so that I can get the information I need to be able to give you the information you need to be able to help your dogs.
Yes. And that is important. And one of the questions I'd like to ask you also is, what is something you wish pet parents would stop doing?
Oh, okay. Well, let's start. So one of these pet peeves, and you'll start to hear it the more, once I say it, you'll be like, oh my God, I do that all the time, is repeating commands. You know, how when you want your dog to sit or you want your dog to lay down, and everyone has a tendency, and I don't know why it is, when they're talking to a dog, they have this need to get this immediate gratification. So it's like, buddy, sit, buddy, sit. And I thought to myself, we don't even talk to ourselves that way. Like, I wouldn't look at my husband and go, Roger, can you get me a cup of coffee? Cup of coffee. Imagine if we talked to each other that way. We would get looked at like, are you crazy? So repeating commands. The other thing is, everyone who knows me and my reputation knows that I am against training and learning should never involve pain, discomfort, or fear. Those are my no-nos, right? I want to build a bond between the relationship between you and your dog. So one of the things I would really ask all pet parents to please consider is, let's leave the force out of it. I don't want my dog to perform for me because he's afraid of what I'm going to do. For me because he respects me and wants to please me, not because he's worried about experiencing pain or fear. That is one of the issues that I deal with all too often in my career, is trying to rehabilitate dogs who have experienced pain, discomfort, and fear in terms of being trained. And so when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about shock collars, pinch collars, choke chains, anything that causes pain, discomfort, and fear. I just want to be able to show pet parents that there's such a beautiful alternative that will strengthen your relationship with your dog. Yes,
that's important. And I also know that you work with some bite cases and you help people with bite cases. Can you tell us about that a little bit, your work with that?
I do. So at some point in my career, I started to experience a lot of people whose dogs had bitten either family members and or people outside of the family. And what was getting frustrating for me was when I started to go into the courtroom, and I would find that the legal system, lawyers and judges they didn't have the knowledge about dog behavior like I do. They just looked at it as any dog that bites is considered a dangerous dog. And that is just absolutely not true, or I wouldn't have a job, to be frank. Every dog has the propensity to bite, and 99% of bites come from things that we as pet parents are doing. We as pet parents are not doing. And so my job is to go, let's get to the bottom of why. Let's get to the bottom of what was it in terms of your environment, that in terms of your knowledge with dogs, that set your dog up for failure. And it's not about finger pointing. This is not about me saying, look at what you've done wrong. No, it's just like, look, I don't know how to fix my car. So what do? I take it to a mechanic, because a mechanic knows how to do what I don't know how to do. And so if your dog is exhibiting those kinds of behaviors, you want to go to somebody that has the knowledge and going, hey, let's get to the bottom of what's going on. How are you setting up your home environment with rules and structure and boundaries and consistency? Are you necessarily taking account into what kind of breed? And what I mean by breed is you've got working dog breeds, and then you've got lap dogs, okay? Your working dog breeds are the dogs that have the much bigger brain, right? They were bred to do high functioning tasks. But then when I ask a pet parent, talk to me about a typical day in the life of your dog, how much mental stimulation are you giving your dog that has this beautiful big brain, so that he has outlets for his drive? And so there's just so much information that if everybody had the tools and the knowledge that I do, there would be no bite cases unless it was a physical reason. And then that's a whole nother avenue I don't want to really go down. So I'm not a vet. So that's really how when it came to deciding that I wanted to focus on bite cases, it was because I really wanted to help educate people that it's not the dog, it's information that you're lacking. And when you have that information, dogs thrive.
Yes. So I just want to reiterate that if you have a question for me or for Deb, please put in the comments hashtag and then ask your questions. Hashtag ask and then your question, just like it shows on the bottom of the screen here. Because Deb is going to be with us, and I think she agreed to be with us the whole time. And so if you have a question that comes up, here's a question now. I would like to know if my deal will close this week or next. So that's a question for me. So I still want to work with Deb a little bit, talk about what she's doing, and then I'll get to that question as the first question. So one more thing I'd like to ask Deb before we go into questions is, so if you have one tip to give pet parents that would help with problem behavior, what would it be? Now, I know the answer because we have used you, our friends have used you. So tell us what that answer is.
Okay. A lot more mental stimulation, number one. And I'll be clear, mental stimulation is basically providing something where your dog has to think and problem solve. Right? Think of all of the things you have in your life that stimulate you, right? You've got books and magazines and jobs in your car and your computer and your phone and all of these things that stimulate you. And then when you think about what your dog has, it's basically your immediate environment. Maybe if you have a backyard, and then if you take them out on the occasional walk, but really their lives are pretty small. Whereas again, if you look at working dog breeds, they were bred to do very high functioning tasks. So my number one is making sure that they have enough mental stimulation daily. And then also providing your dog with an environment with rules, just like you would when you raise your child, right? Your child has rules, boundaries, and structure. Now, consistency. This is one that comes up a lot in what I do. I oftentimes deal with spouses and children. And I'll say, if you really think about it, how does your husband correct versus how does your wife correct? How do your kids communicate with your dog versus how you communicate with your dog when there is a problem behavior? There has to be some form of consistency for a dog because they're beautifully Pavlovian creatures, right? They're very habit forming. And so our job is to make sure that we're communicating the same way, the same time for the same incident all the time. So if one of you is going buddy, no. And the other one is going, what did I tell you? This is what happened the last time, and this is this and this. There's not going to be any consistency, and so the dog can't connect those beautiful little dots and form a habit. So when I talk about creating an environment for your dog with rules and structure and boundaries and consistency and calm energy, okay? If you have a high drive, excitable dog, your dog can't possibly be calm if you're not. So if you're one of these people that come in the house and you're like, buddy, oh my God, oh hi, good to see you, right? Your dog's energy is going to be over the top, which oftentimes creates barking and jumping, which are two behaviors that pet parents don't really love. But they're not thinking about, wait a minute, how am I rewarding that same behavior? And yet I'm correcting it at other times when it's not so convenient for me. So our energy, I can walk into a house with a dog I've never met, with a dog who's known to jump on every single person who walks in that door. And as long as I am calm and I don't give direct eye contact and I don't reach for the dog that doesn't know me, I usually get a dog that is so calm and relaxed and just happy to see me. And the pet parents are like, my dog is never that calm when people walk in the door. So calm energy is something that I talk about a lot because it's not something that they get a chance to experience very often.
Yes, that's great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So Deb is going to hang out with us, and
Yes.
We're very excited about that. I have the first question. If I could have that again, Diego, put on the screen. I think it was a question for me, something about a closing. Yes. So Carrie asks, I would like to know if my deal will close this week or not. So that I can answer with the tarot cards. That's a tarot card question. So let's see if her deal will close this week or not. So I'm looking for a yes or no. I use tarot cards just to help me focus my intuition. Let me draw 4 cards and get that answer for you about the closing this week. So the first card that you get is completion card, which is great. So that means it's going to close, completion, that type of thing. That's the question at hand. And then it says also, don't deceive yourself. You just need to have more fun doing this because it's going to close. Like, so somehow your mental interference, there's a mental self-defeat here. So that is like, oh, I'm thinking it's not going to close, or I wish it would close sooner, or that type of thing. So just focus on having fun and realizing and trusting that it's going to close this week. There's your answer. Thanks, Carrie. Now we have some questions, and I believe that Deb cannot see the questions, so I'm going to ask her the questions as you wrote them. Oh, and here's a question from your husband, Deb. So you can read that. My wife, Deb Nabb, lost her memory last week for about 15 minutes. She was spoiler alert. She was with her horse Spirit. Something happened and she called me on the phone, crying, dazed and confused. We went to the ER and she's okay, but would love to know if you have insight into what happened with Spirit. So here's Deb here. She lost 15 minutes. Is that correct?
Yeah, we figured it out based on when he told me that I called, which I have no memory of, and he physically got to the barn, which I have no memory of. And he kind of helped me with the timeline. We figured it's about 15, 20 minutes of time. I have no memory of.
Okay. So let's just ask the cards. What happened? Let's just ask very generally, like, what happened? Where did you go? What happened? Now, it's interesting because we talked a little bit about this earlier, but I didn't know you were with your horse Spirit. So it does have to do with Spirit. There's a truce and an understanding. That's the card that comes up first. There's also love here. And I'm going to say that this, the Queen of Discs, doesn't matter whether it's male or female, is Spirit. And there's some sorrow there. Let me just see what's happening there. And and some work. So let me ask you this. I love this because I can go back and forth with you. With the other questions, I don't have the ability on this StreamYard to do both.
Okay.
Get the feedback. So um, I'm gonna pause. We talked about pausing, like as an animal pause, um, because I'm getting this information, and so I'm going to just pause for a minute. You were working with spirit. What was the work you were doing with spirit?
Okay, my last memory is I had taken Spirit from the pasture into the stall in the barn, and I had tied him up inside the stall so that I could clean his hooves, and then I was going to brush him, and that's what I do before I go for a ride. And
Right.
so I had tied him to the stall door, and I remember my last memory is I had bent over, picked up his hoof, started cleaning his hoof, and as I look up, I noticed that his head had gotten under the rope that I had tied to the stall. So my bad was I had given him too much slack. My fear immediately was he's going to panic if he lifts his head and feels that rope. And so I had enough wherewithal to reach up right away, and I unbuckled his harness, or I'm sorry, his halter. And that's the last memory I have.
Yes. And it says that there was an adjustment and balance time there for spirit and for you where you lost focus. So there was like there was just focus. Like, so you lost your focus. You were worried, so that. But it's interesting because, and I'm so glad that you went to the ER. I'm so glad that, that's what we need to do anyway. Even if we know intuitively that it's nothing, we always need to check. There is space for medical, for Western medicine. There is space for that. So thank you for doing that. And it just says that you just lost your focus and that it's not important to worry about. There's expansion of your world, and you'll be more focused when you're working with spirit in that way. Okay. So it's really the way it comes up, like there's a mental truce. It's not your mind. So it's like understanding. There's also in the physical world, you worked through it. There was a moment in time, though, really, there was that moment in time where you lost that time, but don't worry about it. It's not anything that you need to worry about or get an MRI for or anything like that. It just happened. It also feels like you were saved. You saved spirit and you saved yourself. And sometimes when that kicks in, you don't remember it. Like, and like, so think about it as easy as this. Have you ever driven somewhere and you get there, and if you think back, I don't know how I got here.
Yes.
Because your mind was going other places, you were thinking about other things as you drive. It's kind of meditative, that type of thing. That's what actually happened here, because the cards are amazing around it. It's like, okay, you can move on from this. Yeah, and don't worry about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So Kate Spry has, and she is an amazing psychic herself, Spry Supernatural. She's a friend of mine. We do work together. Her ask is of you, Deb. Our husky wolf dog mix gets a bit too playful with the cats. Any suggestions on how to tone that down so the cats don't get hurt when she thinks she's just being playful?
Oh, I love that question, especially with huskies, because they, as everyone knows, they're very high energy. So a couple of thoughts. First of all, cats, as we know, they rule the animal kingdom. And if a cat feels in any way threatened, a cat will not appear, will not try to instigate play with a dog. So if the cat is the one instigating the attention, the play, the affection, that means that the cat has no worry about the dog's intention. However, obviously, there are probably going to be times when the dog is a little bit over the top, where hopefully if your cat has all the claws, then the cat can defend itself. However, what I was talking about earlier in the show was the need for mental stimulation. You've got a husky. They're very smart. I mean, Einstein smart, right? So I would make sure that your husky is getting a lot more mental stimulation in other ways, so that the cat is not the only outlet that the dog has, so that when they interact, that balance is equal. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm going to answer for her. Yes.
I forgot. I'm so used to getting that reply.
Right. I know that's what's hard for me on this too. It's like, okay, I'm reading for myself. Yes. And we also know, and I know this, that the cats will take care of themselves.
Yes.
Also, it's like, let them figure it out, right?
Absolutely.
Figure it out. Yes, yes. So I have another question for me. It's from Helen. Rick, last time we talked, I moved east from Colorado to Kentucky. Is it time to move back? So glad to see how well you're doing. Thank you. Thank you, Helen. So let's see if it's time to move back. Is it time for Helen to move back to Colorado? You do get the cards. It's interesting because it says there's choices and you need to know what you love. Like make the choice by where do I love? And I really do believe you love Colorado better because it says the death card, which is not a death card at all. It doesn't mean death. It means ripping away the past to begin anew. And the card next to it is the Chariot, which makes things happen faster. And it means movement or a move. So there is a move, and it looks like it's going to be soon. Just make the choices you need to make lovingly for yourself and for everyone involved. And you will love being back in Colorado. It says seeing your hopes and dreams come true within a year's time. So it's this year that you're moving back. It's probably within the next few months. Thank you, Helen. All right, let's see what else we have here. Ask Deb. Nice. I love that. I've been repeating my command for my dog to come to me. He understands the command, but doesn't obey unless my tone gets stern. How can I correct this?
One of my favorite questions. And I know we've been saying that a lot, but it's true. And here's what I want to say. So think about a pro football team, right? Pro football teams, even though they're the best in their field, they practice 5 to 6 days a week, okay? And they get paid millions of dollars. How often do you practice, not ask in a real life situation, but practice that command? Because I look at life-saving commands as the number one thing that I'm going to be doing the most with my dogs. Those to me are come, stay, and leave it. If I can work on those daily, that means come game time when the real life situation needs to happen. In other words, I need it to happen right now. How often, honestly, are you practicing? And what I mean by practicing is setting up a situation in which case I, let's say, go out with a 30-foot lead and I wait until my dog is good and distracted. And I go, buddy, come here, boy. Come here. And as he starts to come, good, come. And he gets a treat. And then we do it again. And then we do it in another place. And then we do it another place. So most people, when I ask them, how often are you practicing this command that you want consistency out of? They're, I really don't. Like I taught it and then now I just ask for it. Well, think about all the other things that you do in life that if you don't use that muscle on a regular basis, you lose it. When you learn foreign languages, right? If you're playing an instrument, if you're not playing that instrument on a regular basis, you lose it. And so in fairness to your dog, if it's something that you want consistency out of, then our part of it is we've got to be able to practice it so regularly that come a real life situation when clearly your dog is distracted, he's set up for success.
Nice. Thank you for that answer. I am Psychic Rick. This is Deb Nabb, the Mutt Master. We're going to take just a little bit of a break and then we'll be right back. Thank you.
Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change when you change the way you look at things.
You will enjoy psychic entertainer Rick Finbow.
I'm going to give you a general reading first.
He's been helping people realize their potential for over 40 years, offering one-to-one and group sessions as well as keynote performances around the world.
I use tarot cards to help me focus my intuition.
Over 1,800 performances at the MGM Grand Las Vegas. Witness a combination of magic, mysticism, astrology, numerology, and tarot. Rick's shows are rich in demonstrations of ESP and psychic abilities, leaving you with a feeling of wonder and awe.
But there's a lot of things that are happening right now in the world that are amazing.
You just might learn a little about yourself during his show, too.
A new relationship within ourselves.
20 to 90-minute performances are available depending on the venue.
Focusing on what we want.
Psychic entertainer Rick Finbow.
And then the universe will give you more of it. And more of it.
For details and booking, go to psychicrick.com.
Hi there, welcome back. I am Psychic Rick Finbow, and I'm here with Deb Nabb, the Mutt Master. You can reach her at the muttmaster.com. She's a animal behaviorist, a dog behaviorist. So welcome back, and now is the time I'd like to share with you. I have an emailed question from a client. This is Cynthia's question. Hello, Rick. I have watched your YouTube show for the last several months, and I have a question that I'm wondering if you could help me with. My 5-year-old daughter has told me a few times about a being that she has seen occasionally in and around our house. She said that she sees it most often in the small area between the stairs, kitchen, and family room. It is interesting because she would often look there as an infant. She says that when she sees it, it is only for a few seconds and then it is gone. She is definitely not troubled by its occasional appearance. When she sees it, she said that she gets a feeling of mommy and daddy will always love me. She also said that it is an adult height and has an orange inside and purple outside. And then she sent me a picture. I'll show you that in just a minute. I was wondering if you could tell us more about this presence, if it is a relative or ancestor on the other side of the veil or an angel. Thank you for your time, Cynthia. So thank you, Cynthia, for sending me the email. And this is the picture. Whoops, I lost the picture. So we don't have the picture. Anyway, let me tell you about children. Children are amazingly receptive to anything spiritual, energy, reading energy, and that type of thing. And it's known that children up until about the age of 7, like, they still believe in Santa. They still believe. So up to about the age of 7, children are apt to be more sensitive and more aware of energies. So let's just ask the cards about maybe who that is. Let's give us some insight into the spirit or the energy that your daughter, who's 5 years old, is seeing. Let's just see what we get here. So the cards say not to fear it, like don't deceive yourself. There's nothing to fear here, which is great. So, and you really need to trust your child. Your child is not afraid. Your child has this warm feeling like mommy and daddy will love you always, that type of thing. It says that there's expansion of your child's world here. So it's great. Just never tell a child that that's wrong or that you shouldn't be seeing those things, because you don't want to embrace fear with this. So just say, that's great. Also, usually when you see spirits, when your child is an exceptional child in the way that they can see. So I get to see, hear, and feel. I have the 3 C's: clairaudience, clairvoyance, and clairescence. So the seeing part, she's seeing. And it's kind of like just for a few seconds. It's like seeing a shadow out of the side of your eye when you're moving your head around. Sometimes you see a shadow of something, you think something moved. That's the same kind of instance that she's having with this energy. And also because it's bright colors, beautiful colors, it's highly spiritual. And I'm also going to just ask the cards if it is a family member or an ancestor. And it's a female energy. It's an older energy because it comes up as the Queen of Wands. So it's going to be and it does feel like it's related to you, Cynthia, the mother, on your side of the family, either a grandmother or a great grandmother. And there's an interest there. So trust that that's really good and that your child has this amazing ability. And usually children will grow out of that as they get in school, 7 years old, 8 years old. They'll start to kind of, what we do is we get to control it. So if their friends are starting to say, you're crazy, don't believe in that stuff, they'll start to control it, and then they start to not see that stuff anymore. But if you just say it's okay and it's a great gift, because it is, and she may be able to do something when she gets older with that. She might go into something spiritual. It's amazing. So thank you for that question, and I hope I answered it for you. Thank you. So we have another question for Deb. What's the best way to introduce a rescue into an established pack?
Again, love the question. As you know, we have several dogs, and I do this on a regular basis. I do this with clients. I do this with people who just want to know if their dog gets along with other dogs. And so my husband and I, we have this way of figuring out with the dogs which dog is the most confident, which dog would naturally be the most natural leader. And that would be Nigel. Nigel pretty much handles everything the way that you would want a manager to run a business for you. He is the most calm. He is the most confident. He knows how to greet a dog from any place, from a dog that's very, very fearful and insecure to a dog that's overly confident, a little bit too pushy. And so what we do is go on a pack walk. I take my one dog, Nigel, who the other dogs already respect and have a beautiful relationship with, and we go on a pack walk, and we go on a neutral road. It could be, just down the road and away from your house a little bit. And we kind of start about, sometimes it could be across the block, like across the street from each other. And sometimes it could be 10, 15 feet, depending on what I'm seeing in each dog. So if the other dog seems a little bit too nervous and anxious and reactive, then I give the dog a little bit bigger of a buffer zone. Okay. And I'm watching that dog's body language. And as I'm seeing that dog relax, then we start to move the gap closer together. And then we keep walking, we keep moving the energy forward. We don't stop and do an immediate nose to nose. We just keep moving forward. And then eventually I'm seeing the body languages relax a little bit more. We close the gap a little more. We close the gap a little more. And eventually, if it's going to work, we are now walking side by side. Once it gets to that point where I'm walking side by side and the dogs are just like, getting involved in different things that they see and smell, I know that it's now time to go ahead and go back to the house, at which point we go to the backyard. And in the backyard, if there's a backyard, we go ahead and take the leashes off and allow that relationship to, again, get comfortable with each other and, the nuances of a new dog and the breed of the dog. And then at that point, I will introduce the next dog. And then let them interact for a while. And then I introduce the next dog. But I always do one at a time until they're all together playing in the backyard. That's how I've always done it.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So I just see that Gracie is asking, are these dog questions? And LOL. So yes, they're dog questions and they're any questions at all. This is Ask Psychic Rick Anything. And we've been going back and forth, which is really great. And it's great for me because I have somebody to play with, Deb here. So I also have Amy here. She is asking, can I get a reading for my upcoming birthday, the outlook on my year? So yes, let's give you a birthday, just a general reading for you, Amy, because it's my business. So I want you to sign up for a reading with a half an hour with me or an hour with me. you know that I get to the point right away. So even a half an hour is a long time with me and enough to figure out what's happening for you for the next year. So it does say that you are going to be leaving some sorrow and the past behind because that's causing you interference. So you have some sorrow from the past and some interference from the past that's causing you interference. But you do have the Princess of Discs here coming in this year, which is your own business card. This is my own business card. So it says that you're going to be seeing your own business, seeing your hopes and dreams come true. Again, the universe within a year's time. So you're going to be focusing more on your own business and letting go of the past sorrows. So the way the cards came up was there was sorrow here, and that's from the past. Can't really have sorrow from the future unless you create it. And there's interference that was causing. So, and that's causing also like a hopelessness. But it says that you're moving forward from that. And the Prince of Cups comes up also. Doesn't matter whether it's male or female, but learning how to handle your emotions through all of that, through the past sorrows. And then you got your own business card and the universe card. So it's like, so you're going to be focusing on your own business and you're going to see your hopes and dreams come true in that realm. Good reading for Amy there for her birthday this year. Yay. Next we have, hey, my friend, it's from Odyssey of the Heart. Happy New Year. This is Anne. Any insight on him? I sent the gift and have not heard from him. Okay. And let's find out. Will you hear from him? So the first card is the science card, which means don't analyze it so much. You did your job, you sent it. Now you just need to be patient and wait. It says you have the courage to move forward and break out of an old pattern of not waiting, and spiritual dominion, which means you're going to see the right way, the right path is right in front of you. And you're going to see that that was on the right path to send that. And you're in control of that, but you're not in control of hearing from him. But it does say that you will, and there'll be a new beginning. Ace of Wands and Ace of Cups. Nice. Thank you, Anne. Dune, can you see me moving out from Sweden in the future? Okay. Moving out from Sweden. All right, let's just look at that. So we want to see if Dune has a move away from Sweden. We have people all over the world in this podcast, which is really cool. I love technology. And it does say yes, and it's somewhere that there's more sun. There's a sun here and a gain on all levels. So yes, you will be moving out of Sweden. And it's because it looks like you may own your own business or thinking about owning your own business, and that has integrity in it. So it actually has integrity for the move for you. The virtue and integrity card comes up here. So that means that you've completed the cycle, you're tying up the loose ends, and you're moving forward, and it has integrity in moving. Excellent. Thank you, Dune. Let's see, Gracie. Oh, I think I met my twin flame. Great. But he's emotionally shut down. So, and then I think Gracie asked another question about that. Can he heal? And when will he come back? So let's see. Let's see what the cards say about your twin flame here. It does say that he will get off the couch and move and change. And the Princess of Cups comes up first, and it says that you will need to handle your emotions around this. He got overwhelmed, but he has the courage to move forward and not allow that because he got overwhelmed from relationships in the past. This may have reminded him of something from the past, or he got overwhelmed, and that's what happened in his past relationship, and he doesn't want that to happen. So it says, but you do have the courage and valor card, which means he will move forward from that, the courage to move forward and have more fun. This is the pleasure card. So I do believe that he will come back if he's gone. I think you said that Willie asked if he will come back. He will make the next move. You don't have to make the next move. So just trust that that will happen. That's good. Thank you, Gracie. Let's see. And June says, thanks for the reading and integrity. Yes, nice for his move. Will T and I be in a relationship soon, from Fifi? Let's see if T and Fifi will be in a relationship soon. So it actually says that there's integrity here in completing a cycle. So you're completing a cycle first before the relationship can happen. It needs to feel more comfortable, and it will if you don't let the fear of failure get in the way, because you do have a fear of failure around it, and that's your fear, Fifi, not T's. And it says that you can also, the fear comes from taking care of details, even around finances. So here's an interesting thing that happens when I'm doing this. I don't have you to tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I don't have the ability to get feedback right away. So I'm just going to trust that that makes sense to you. If you could write in whether it makes sense or not, that would be great. And I would refer you to my website, psychicrick.com, because I think we need to go delve into this more, because there's some things that are coming up that are holding you back from this relationship. All right, let's see what else we have. Wow, we have a lot. So we only have about 5 more minutes. Let's see if there's another question for Deb Nabb, the dog behaviorist. Let's see. And please, ladies and gentlemen, don't be reviewing other people or trying to promote your own business on the comments. So that can happen too when you're seen all over the world on a podcast. So we're going to try not to do that. And Deb, let me ask you a question. So our Terry, the terrier, and terriers can be very territorial, as you know. This is a question I've asked you before too, but I'm going to ask you again so everybody can hear.
Okay.
You have a backyard that has a lot of rabbits in it, and he loves watching the rabbits, and he likes to go out and play with them. But as soon as he, of course, goes out and runs after them, they run away. So I talked to him about that and everything, and it's wonderful. But when he goes out back, he tends to eat the rabbit droppings. Is that a problem, or is it something we should worry about? Please.
No, because if you tried to implement the leave it command in that moment, I mean, you would just be like, you'd be exhausted by going, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. No, rabbits eat grass. There's nothing wrong with it. To them, it's a delicacy, and there's not much you're going to be able to do. I guess what you could try once and see if it makes a difference is, I think you've watched how Roger and I occasionally will do scavenger hunts for our dogs in our backyard. So what we'll do is, that way they're focused on finding the treat, and hopefully to Terry that will taste much better. But it's difficult. It's to a dog, rabbit poop and deer poop, it's like a delicacy. So the only thing you could probably do is distract him, like I said, with treats. And before you let him outside, hide some really soft, smelly treats, pungent treats around the yard, and let his focus go on to that as opposed to the rabbit droppings.
Yes. And it is, I can tell it's a delicacy for him.
Oh, yes.
And I even asked the vet. I asked you first, and then I asked the vet, because he for some reason, right before winter, before the snow, now he has snow, so he can't get to it, and he's not really interested. He's interested in playing in the snow, so, which is good. But I was a little bit worried he wouldn't even come in. He just wanted to eat the rabbit's droppings. So, but the vet said the same thing. No problem. It is like a delicacy. So yeah, and he's still eating and everything. He's very treat driven. He's a treat driven dog. He always has been, and it's wonderful. And thank you for all the help that you've given us with his behavior, because he was a rescue. You rescued him, and then we rescued him. You helped us rescue him. And he had a lot of issues because he was neglected. We're not sure whether he was, we know he was neglected. We're not sure if it was also behavior kind of thing, but sometimes he gets fearful, but we just assure him, and he's wonderful. He rescued us during the pandemic, and we're so glad. We love him so much. So,
isn't that the truth?
Yes, they rescue us.
Yes.
That's why a lot of people, even in our neighborhood, we have more dogs now than we have ever had. We see people, there's another new dog in the neighborhood. There's another new dog. So it's really interesting, but it's wonderful because people are rescuing them too. We see a lot more rescues, older dogs, than we see puppies. So we love that.
It's so funny. You live in such a great community. And something that I did for our community in Castle Rock, and I did it in our community in Aurora, is you talk to, I'm assuming you guys have an HOA, right? Yes. And so what I did is I just contacted the HOA, and I said, hey, I think it'd be a really good idea to get a group together that meet, whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month, and go on a pack walk. And that way we all get to know each other. All of our dogs get to know each other. And that way our dogs get to be more comfortable when we see each other out on the street. And it just was amazing.
Yes. And we've done that with our friends. You've helped them rescue Milo, and they just live up the hill. So we have a walk with them, and we've had you over and everything. Yes. That's wonderful.
Yeah. It helps dogs.
Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Yes. Thank you so much. Everybody, Deb Nabb, themuttmaster.com is her website. My website is psychicrick.com, and want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for making your comments and for asking your questions. Thank you to New Thought Media Network. ntmedia.org is the website for them. Thank you for Diego, for our producers, and Reverend Robert Brzezinski. Thank you for having us. And we'll see you next week. Before I go off really quick, I have an in-person intimate group readings if you're in the Lakewood area at Full Moon Books every second Thursday. So next Thursday, the 12th, is the next one. It's only $44. Only 10 people. I have 6 people already, so I only have 4 more seats available. It's only $44, like I said, and everybody gets a reading and an animal totem for the month. So check that out too. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful new year, everybody. Thank you, Deb.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until